Okay, so Balcony tagged me in this video, or send it to me with the full intention for me to respond to it, so I will.
1. Ness absorbs a high universal construct. So, some Earthbound scalars use this to justify a high universal Ness. This wouldn't even be high universal, because infinitely expanding doesn't mean infinite space. It means it's infinitely growing with finite numbers adding onto it.
This comes from the original debunk I did. I agree with infinitely expanding not being infinite, but to put it simply, I'm just gonna explain what the other guy was trying to explain, but better, since he couldn't explain for Magicant or Magicant is stated to be immeasurable in size. Immeasurable in size would pretty much mean it's infinite, which would mean this is a high universal feed. And for the giggles, here's Lucas, the weakest protagonist in the series, having high universal scaling.
2. The cosmology follows many world interpretations. Now, before I go over anything, should mention that this uses the manga, which its canonicity is very questionable, but I'll go over it anyways since this is a debunk. This statement just refers to an infinite amount of parallel worlds or universes, which in this context is just multiversal, plus...
Yes, he's referring to an infinite amount of universes, but what do those universes have? Something different. For instance, every universe Paul is doing something different that makes the universe just slightly different. Like every interaction she's having, it's changing, which is what many world interpretations is all about.
You need to prove many world interpretations exist within the verse to apply this. But to be honest, this could honestly be lower due to the fact that it's never proven that the other universes are space-time continuums, which would just make this universal plus, because of that one statement. Ness has transcendence over his cosmology. This next scan also comes from the manga, but we will still use it anyways. Ness doesn't transcend anything.
This is also part of my old debunk. Yes, he's reading a manga, but that manga was actually in reference that it was him reading like his own manga. This can't be argued as just being fourth wall manipulation, but it can also be argued as a reality fictional transcendence. So yeah.
Ness has a measurable speed. This next argument is hilarious, as the person who made it clearly has no knowledge on what qualifies for a measurable speed. But let's define a measurable speed. Movement unbound from the flow of linear time.
I'm just gonna speed this process up. It literally just means that you're not bound by time whatsoever. And the argument comes from that Ness isn't bound by time when he's moving in Gygas's dimension. Or at the very least, this would be an accessible speed.
Beyond linear time, which this does not apply for.
Remember that point I said where this will be important later? He says that there's been no confirmation on space-times in other universes. Well, the context for this is that Porky is like traveling into other universes with their own space-time continuums. So yeah.
Bros is canon to Earthbound. Smash Bros anyways caps at 5D to 6D, but pretty much they use this. This doesn't even talk about Earthbound plus, it's cross-verse scaling.
Buddy, it mentions other hosts of other games, but if you want to be ignorant about it, here's other statements for Smash Bros being canon to, at the very bare minimum, the Nintendo characters.
The verse has quantum mechanics. Okay, so I'll have to go back and talk about the second point I made in this video. I don't know where he's getting this definition that particles are waves, and those waves extend into higher dimensions. The things shown don't support this, so I would need him to clarify on where he's getting this interpretation off of.
The verse having quantum mechanics argument also comes from the many world interpretation argument, since many world interpretations can't operate without quantum mechanics, which is connected to an infinite Hilbert space.
7. Conclusion on where Ness actually scales to. So, since I've debunked Ness and all of his outer-versal arguments, you might be asking, where does he scale to? Well, he defeated Gigas, even though he needed a lot of help in doing so it's not even his own fear. But overall, he'd be around town level with TTL plus speed.
Yeah, let's just pretend like his worst feat is in Continental to star level. But yeah, Baloney, here's the debunk you wanted. I don't rep Earthbound in any way. Baloney just asked me to make this debunk to his debunk on Earthbound, and he's a cool guy, so yeah.